the creator economy isn't just influencers, talking to their audiences on social media. There's this whole ecosystem of companies that make this happen. Amber, when you describe what LTK does in an elevator or at a dinner party, what do you say?
Yeah, well, we've been around for 15 years, and what we've been building is a whole new industry. And so we're really the operating system for creator commerce across the creator economy. Very practically for you in the room and online. You download the LTK app and you follow creators and you get all of their recommendations in an environment that you trust.
Awesome. And this is different than affiliate marketing. Can you explain what the difference is?
Exactly. A lot's turned around in this space. There's been thousands of companies that are funded, like you said. It's a huge ecosystem. There are companies that are affiliate companies or marketplaces or aggregators or there's a lot of players in this space. What we do is really we're the commerce infrastructure layer across everywhere that you consume creator content. So whether that's social media, blogs, newsletters, LTK, we're the ones really connecting the recommendations with the ability to then act on those and ultimately purchase them. So a creator might recommend a place that they've traveled, a shirt that they're wearing, the lip gloss that they just got. We're actually connecting you to be able to very efficiently acquire that product for yourself.
And Joe, exact same question for you. How do you explain how Whaler Group fits into the creator economy?
So first of all, I'd like to say, if I had one wish when it comes to work, is that we would abolish those two words, creator economy. It's not about the creator economy, it's about a revolution that's happening when it comes to storytelling. And it really starts with the entertainment industry and entertainment business as well. I think creator economy, it kind of boxes everything that we do in. You're like a hugely successful e-commerce company, not just a creator economy company. So I just start with that piece. For me and everyone at Whaler and the Whaler Group, it really is about telling stories. Our mission is to liberate the creative voice. And what that means is it's about giving everybody, if we think about the United States of America, making sure that all of the faces and voices of the United States of America are represented in these stories that we consume, that we're exposed to. And of course, so much of that comes from movies and TVs, but also through advertising. The things that you're seeing, those 30-second spots when there was, back in the day, but also everything you're seeing on your phone. So Whaler, we're about stories, and really we're a modern creative agency, but we are collaborating and co-creating with creators to tell brand stories.
So Amber, you started out as a blogger before the words like influencer and creator were even getting thrown around. How did that kind of being in on the ground floor and that experience shape how you set up LTK?
Right. Well, I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I had no idea this would be what that looked like. I was, like you said, a blogger before. I actually, if you rewind from that, I was doing personal shopping. And so that means, Tatum, you're coming to the conference. I bring you this look in your size into your home. And if you like it and keep it, then I earn a commission from the stores that I pulled it from. And so I started a website back before, before Vogue had a website. And I thought that it was this really cool thing that was like a marketing tool for me to be able to really demystify what I was doing offline and to gain new customers. I very quickly learned that I cut myself out of my own business, and I knew a business model that worked offline. And so my now husband and co-founder and I, Baxter, we created a way to just modernize that, to make it an online version where I was able to earn when people purchase the things that I recommended through my website. So I'm very proximate to our mission. We're here to make creators as economically successful as possible. And we've actually gotten creators paid over $2.5 billion in the last 15 years.
That's a lot of money.
There's over 400 LTK millionaires today that are just creator side.
Wow. Damn. And so, okay, when you say that you realized you had boxed yourself out of your own business, you mean because people could see the looks on your website, then they go around you.
Exactly. I think the Dallas Morning News, when they announced that I had a blog, which was like the word wasn't really in the dictionary yet until like 7 years later. I didn't know that I was a blogger. They announced that I was giving my services away for free online. And I was like, they didn't listen to me at all, actually. I told them that you could come and learn about my business. And what I was doing was documenting everything, and so people could easily get to it. So I was getting texts from my customers being like, oh my gosh, you're right. The American Apparel, if you remember that brand, American Apparel, those jeans were great. Oh my gosh, $32, who knew? Or like, oh, the PS1 bag, I got it before all my friends, thanks.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm telling everyone. And so they thought they're supporting me, and I'm like, $32 commission, $120 commission, $12 commission. I'm just like, this is awful.
So the influence is there, but the job isn't,
Right.
and then the money aspect. And of course, this has evolved in so many ways, but the surfaces that we are looking at all day have also evolved. Of course, like we got our pocket computers. But one thing that I heard recently from YouTube is that people are increasingly watching short form content from places like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts on the television in their living room. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious how that changes how you communicate with creators and help them make the best stuff.
I mean, it changes everything. YouTube have just reported this is the 12th consecutive month where they're the #1 streamer on connected TVs. So that means that people are watching YouTube, forget the phone, on TVs more than they're watching Netflix or Disney, which is mind-blowing. And I'm not sure if this is a global, it must be a global number, but now 1 billion hours a day of YouTube is watched on TVs. 1 billion hours a day. So it changes everything. And with that change, there can be challenges, but it's also these untapped opportunities for everybody as well, because that could be any of your content, our content, could be part of that view time.
I'm curious, so, where consumers are encountering this content is evolving, but also kind of the words that we use and the definitions are evolving too. And Amber, I'm curious, what would you say has changed about the creator economy in the last, let's say, couple of years that changes how we think about the word influence? Anybody can be a creator. How do we think about and measure that today?
Yeah, well, we partner with Northwestern to do our consumer studies, and I think that this kind of best illustrates what you're describing, which is now 70% of all generations in the US say that they shop from creators. When you actually look at just like from a Gen Z perspective, so not just like digitally native, but what I call like creator native, 94% say that they rely on creators for their purchase decisions. So culturally, we've gone from a culture who literally we don't have influencer as a word in the dictionary to we fully depend on them. The creators today are really the arbiters of trust. Because the places that we're all spending our time, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, name your social media platform, we're all consuming hours of free content a day. But those platforms have moved to be algorithmic, so we don't know whose content we're looking at. And then now we all know that a lot of it's AI generated, and so we don't know if what we're seeing is real. So all generations are understanding that, and they're going to people that they know for a fact are real humans, and then looking at them for expert advice, which is, like you said, Joe, really well articulated. It is changing commerce entirely. It's changing the way that a consumer approaches where they discover, how they discover, the confidence in their purchase decision. And so I know Time recently did a big piece on LTK, and they just said we're revolutionizing e-commerce. And that's really where, like I said, the kind of that infrastructure layer that's making that possible for brands to be successful. And when we're in the middle of really kind of a trust crisis as a society.
Yeah, I want to talk more here in a minute about AI and how this kind of post-truth world where you don't know what's real impacts the creator economy. But first, Joe, Whaler did something really interesting recently, which was launch Lighthouse. It's a co-working space for creators. There's one in LA and then launched one in Brooklyn. And what jumps out to me about this is that it's like a traditional workplace. Whereas when I think of creator, I think about this backdrop of day in the life. And there's like some tension there. I'm so curious how having a co-working space like that is beneficial for creators.
So it's not just a co-working space. It's the easiest way to describe it, and the CEO of Lighthouse doesn't love it when I describe it this way, but for everyone in the room, it's like if Soho House, WeWork, and NYU had a love child and you sprinkled steroids on it, it would be the Lighthouse. So it really is look, creators, all joking aside, they've only worked from home, the majority of them. It can be very isolating, it's very lonely. And regardless if you start at 17 or at 70, you don't know all of the things. You don't necessarily know like an editor, or a great photographer, videographer. So what the Lighthouse has done, and there's going to be more properties coming up. First of all, the one in Venice is 23,000 square feet. The one in Brooklyn is 33,000 square feet on 4 floors. These are huge historic buildings. It provides a space for creators, but also the people around the creators as well, to come, to feel like they have a place to belong, to be inspired, and to create. So there are podcast studios, there are test kitchens, there are bars. So there's very intentionally different places of creative inspiration. And having spent a lot of time at both of them, there's just this magic when you see like creative people, creators collide. And they have an idea, and they can just go straight downstairs and film it. And that is really remarkable. So the investment that we're making really is to help elevate the entire industry that we're part of.
It's interesting to me because it's kind of this professionalization. Like, I don't know if
Without
y'all
question.
are familiar with the idea of creator hype houses, but they're kind of scary places, you know, where no one's in charge and people are living together as creators. And like, it's like this professionalization of that idea where it's like, yes, it's beneficial for creators to collaborate. And these people are professionals, right? So they want a professional space.
Yeah, and when you see, I mean, they are both like, the design is absolutely breathtaking. It's the lighthouse is the first like tangible asset, if you will. So when you walk through, because people can say certain things like creators, so it's like, it's buzzy, it's influencers, it's XYZ holding a product and selling it. It's just so much more than that. So when you see it, you feel it. Again, you see that magic happening. It just takes the understanding and everyone's imagination to a whole new level.
So kind of in the same vein, creators are increasingly partnering and working with you know, major studios for television and film. You know, it's been written that creators are the new Hollywood and kind of replacing Hollywood in its cultural relevancy. And Amber, I'm curious if that, from a shopper or consumer's point of view, does that kind of commodification, or like it all feels so official, it all feels so big, does that compromise trust or does that make it stronger?
No, it builds trust. I'm so happy for any talent that gets to have an increased distribution point and that gets to have a recurring audience. So thrilled when they start there, thrilled when they get there, thrilled to make introductions to make it happen, because ultimately you're buying into someone's story and that's how you build trust. It's like you're in a relationship with them, and relationships, they always say in therapy, are TIME. So we need to spend time together to get to do it. It's not happening on social media anymore because I pop up here, I pop up there, but you may never see me again. And so how do you know if I'm someone who's trustworthy or not, or just being paid to say something? So that storytelling piece is really important. We've invested very heavily in the LTK app. Videos are up, I think, 80% recently, just with creators realizing that storytelling is connecting. People are going in and they're watching just endless videos from the same creators that they love and kind of going deep on their story. I think that'll continue to be a huge narrative in the creator economy, and people just like to watch video. You know, it's become culturally normative to consume in that way.
And what creators don't want is for somebody to encounter their video on like a TikTok feed, enjoy it, and then swipe past, because eyeballs are great, but they're not a career.
Right. So I mean, my perspective on that, I'm a little bit cynical, is that I'm like, gosh, that's like asking me to contribute to a magazine and not getting paid. Because you're
making content on TikTok or Instagram,
and distributing it out and not being able to actually get paid by the publication, because actually there's almost no platform besides YouTube that actually pays creators. And then to not be able to like actually keep that person, like followers don't mean anything anymore. So I'm very pro-creator. You'll see that kind of come through. But today, I think really smart creators, smart businesses, because ultimately we're all playing in these spaces. The goal is to use those places as qualified leads. So the algorithm should actually put your content in front of someone who should love you, but it's your job to what I call like meet and keep. And if you don't have a place to keep, then you don't have a business.
Well, you heard it here first. Followers don't matter.
They do matter.
It's over.
Especially subscribers. YouTube's different. I mean, YouTube is like, it is an outlier as an entertainment platform, and TikTok's also, should we say, like mixing things up as well.
So I have a statistic here. 63% of consumers trust creators more than brands. And that makes sense to me because a creator is a person and a brand is kind of nebulous. But I'm curious what you think, Joe. What is with all of that trust, do creators have a responsibility toward their audiences in terms of ethics, in terms of you know, kind of safeguarding that trust?
I said yes and no. So the fact that the majority of US consumers trust creators more than brands, again, changes everything. The community, so we offer at Whaler, we don't talk about target audiences, we talk about communities. So the creators who are really succeeding, who have large subscriber account, large follower accounts, they have a duty to that community to remain true to that community. So they're not going to take a brand deal for a product or a brand or a service that they've never spoken about. Like, they're more like true to the community that they are part of, that they are leading. When it comes to things like ethics, again, it depends on the creator. So Joe Rogan is very different to a different type of creator. It's such like a wide spectrum, but they have a duty of care to the community they've created, who they are looking to grow, and there needs to be a value exchange. Every story they tell with the community, looking for that value exchange.
So Amber, you've described LTK as kind of like the infrastructure or like a platform for creator commerce, but there are companies experimenting kind of with their own bespoke thing, like Sephora having an affiliate tool where you can watch creators put makeup on and buy the products they're using. How does that competition change the game for you, if at all?
Yeah, it's validating. People have come in, behind us and tried to kind of replicate what LTK has done, and that just honestly brings more attention, more eyeballs, more dollars to what we're doing. The problem with that is we invented that model almost a decade ago. And as the inventor of it, I can tell you that it actually doesn't work today, which is why we've made changes. And so that actually that was built in a day where you had a platform where you could reliably reach your community. Today, on average, when you post something, on average, 20% of people who see it follow you. So you're speaking to 80% who don't. And so if you are having to rely on a separate ecosystem for traffic, relationships, content, context, then it's a broken model and it doesn't work. So a link in bio, for example, linking to a product page is not something that's super viable. Also, consumers are just tired of consumerism. They really want storytelling. So kind of back to why I was so excited when people get to be on a Hollywood show, for example, is because you have that kind of recurring relationship that you're building. But I think what people are generally broadly getting right is that people are looking to the creators that they love for those recommendations. Actually, just in the last week on LTK, we let brands launch their profiles. And so if you don't have the LTK app to give you a perspective, it's a place where you can go and follow the creators that you love, and you see their whole life, and the recommendations are all linked there for you to be able to get to those. Earlier this year, we launched consumer profiles, so now your friends are there too, and just in the last 7 days, we launched brand profiles. Hundreds of brands there, but the difference is we don't let brands actually publish, we let them repost. So if you go, for example, to the Sephora page, you see tens of thousands of creators are talking about them. We give you a ticker, how many creators are talking about this brand right now, which is a validation point of trust. And then also who they have reposted, what they have reposted. Backstage, someone was looking and they're like, oh my gosh, Target has 116,000 creators talking about them right now. Zara has 3,000 creators talking about them right now. And so all of those are validation points, but it's all through the lens of the creators. When we talked about brands and like creator trust and who do they trust more, in this vein, brands are actually able to leverage what the community is saying about them to reach the customer. So it's their edit, but through someone else's, authentic endorsement.
So you said something so interesting, which is that consumers are tired of consuming, which I can resonate with. You said they're tired of buying stuff, they want storytelling. And I'm curious, in your work, Joe, how do you find yourself nudging brands or creators, like you think you want to do this, but actually you want to do this to kind of feed consumers' hunger for good storytelling?
Raise your hand if you like being sold to. Now raise your hand if you enjoy hearing a story. That's the power of creators, and dare I say creator marketing. They're not ads, they are stories. And a lot of people, they really enjoy seeing a creator or an influencer, because there is a nuance between the two, talking about a brand, and it has, just keep it so like hashtag ad. Because they're like, okay, my girl, she's getting her flowers, she's getting paid, because that brand, they've seen her, they've recognized her value, and they're recognizing our value as well, because they want her to tell this story. That's the big difference. Like ads, of course some ads work, but it's just a whole different environment now. It's about stories. We tell ourselves stories every single day, often not in a positive way when we're telling stories. So we can all do it. So for us, it's more, I feel like we have a responsibility, anyone that works in the creator economy, but especially as an agency, to educate brands, to help educate and inform the platforms of how they can grow their business in a way that's going to connect and convert in a way that doesn't require millions and millions of dollars.
Probably everyone here has heard the term influencer used in kind of a derogatory way. In a way, I think that can be super gendered and reflect kind of a misunderstanding of like this economy and how it works. And I think we're pretty soundly moving past that. But I'm curious, how you guys respond to when you need to explain to someone, no, these aren't social media users who are kind of cynically hawking products to their audiences. It's so much richer than that. And I'm curious how you describe it.
And by some are, and that's okay. Like, that's okay, that's their business model, and it works because there's a transactional relationship.
Right, when Target runs an ad, I don't walk away being like, oh, how shallow of them. Yeah, totally.
But I think for like, again, keeping it like really simple, influencers endorse, creators tell stories. And that's like the simplest way. And creators, especially top tier, they have influence. So they're creators with influence because they have a community, they have an audience that trust them far more than they're trusting the brands.
Yeah, what about you, Amber? Do you find yourself still using the word influencer, or how do you explain that distinction to people unfamiliar?
Yeah, over time, we had to teach brands what this category of people were and that they should work with them. And so for the first 5 years of our business, I went office to office. I was told I'll get fired if I work with a blogger. I could never spend money on this. Oh my gosh, we work with magazines and celebrities. And it was very slow going in the very beginning. So we tried out a bunch of different words. Blogger became actually super pejorative. There was a whole period where bloggers weren't going to be allowed at Fashion Week. It's like we've all kind of forgotten that, but there was like a whole push for that to happen. So then we moved to influencer, and then influencer became like kind of cringe. And then now we've moved to creator because you are like creating something. Gen Z also doesn't like that word. They like to just be people on the internet, and so LTK is...
That makes my job really hard.
No, but that's why, I mean, we're bringing social back, is what we're doing on the LTK app. Like 94% of people say social is no longer social. That's why you see real people have disappeared from those places, because it's become so professional. It's become such, like, there's no reward, right? Like, if you can't actually connect with your friends there, what's the point? And so this generation, sadly, like, they didn't have the growing up experience that I did when social media was around. And so now we're working with people who have an audience and a perspective, and if they want to professionalize, then the tools are built in for them to be able to do that on our platform.
Yeah, I want to talk about AI.
Who doesn't?
AI is changing so many industries, and I'm curious what you're hearing from creators themselves about the impact that it's already having on their work.
I mean, they love it. To be honest with you, like creators like all of us, I mean, there's so much admin I do that I'm like, AI helps me do it now. For the creators, whether it be like literally thumbnails, like the success of a YouTube video can rely so heavily on a thumbnail. Spending like hours, if not days, figuring out that tiny thumbnail, AI can now help them with that. So the creators that I'm speaking to and the team is speaking to so much at the Lighthouse and also beyond those amazing walls, is that they have now, we've got a computer in our product called our phones, but now also those little computers in our pocket is a 24-hour, 7 days a week thought partner. So they get writer's block too. They get that creativity block. So now they have someone they can just vibe and jam with whenever. So for them, it's taking a lot of like the shit they don't want to do. They have a partner to do it for them, to do it with them.
When you say vibe and jam, like that could be ideas for content, for captions, for visuals, for projects.
For a video. Even like, I'm working with X brand and I have to do 3 TikToks. I've got the first one down, I'm not sure. Like they're able to have that dialogue, have that like, again, a creative partner with them all the time.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. So there's efficiency tools outside of the LTK ecosystem that help inside as well. We have LTK Copilot that actually auto tags their products. It's helping them. We have an automated AI CRM that's actually retargeting their customers, bringing them back at the right time with the right message for every person in their audience. That's incredible work that's helping them build a business. Outside, I've kind of mentioned that it's actually caused this trust crisis, and so they're having to rehome their audiences because they can't be in a place where they're adjacent to something that's known fake, just like brands can't as well. And I tell our creators today, I'm like, your superpower is actually being a human. Sounds so crazy, but I'm like, pull your humanity through your content, because right now, guess what? Any website I go to, it has a collage next to it. You pull up a pair of jeans and it's like, here's a collage of 5 ways to wear it. Guess what? That's a job you are no longer doing because now you're just at parity with what AI is doing. So now you have to be on video. Your little kid needs to run through the back, and you don't need to edit that part out because guess what? That's not going to show up in AI. Your one eye is a little bit bigger than the other one. Good thing, because if you have matching eyes, that's an AI creator. So there's a lot of like weird things that you pull out. Like you have to
I'm gonna
have
go
the
like this now.
imperfections of community.
It's okay.
Just lean over.
It's me.
Right,
It's me.
this is great news for the non-symmetrical among us.
I mean, it's great.
So when we try to wrap our minds around the risks that AI poses, it can be hard to get a sense of the scale, at least for me. Is it, is this really bad? Is this only a little bit bad? And one of the risks that I notice most often comes in the form of AI-generated video. And this does touch the creator economy because, for example, like already on TikTok, some creators will stumble across videos of themselves that are AI generated and that are promoting a product, which of course is really disconcerting and I imagine bad for business. What sort of risk does that dynamic pose? And by that I mean when the consumer can't tell what's real. You touched on it a little bit, but I'm curious, is this existential or not so much?
I think it's existential for the platforms that are promoting it. I honestly think they're tanking their ad businesses.
Mm.
I also wish IP law would catch up to it, but for those who want to talk to me about that later, come find me.
And it's not, this isn't unique to creators, it's happening with authors, with anyone that produces content. I think it's a question like, what does IP protection look like in the AI era?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have about only a couple minutes left, which is quite sad. So I'd love to hear from both of you, maybe from you first, Joe, if you could predict one big trend or surprise that would shake up the creator economy in the next year, what would you try to predict?
More than one creator will win an Emmy in the next 12 months.
Okay, more than one creator,
More than one.
an Emmy next 12
And Michelle
months.
Khare will be the first. She'll be, if there's only one to do it, it'll be Michelle Khare.
Okay. What about you, Amber? Big shakeup in the next year, if you had to guess, what would it be?
I really wish you would have told me this before so I could think about it. One big thing in the next year. I mean, gosh, we started the year with Mark Zuckerberg saying creators are optional on the platform, like in a shareholder call. Like that was the summary that came out of those. And so I think creators actually do hold so much power that they're going to, the next creator platform, the next platform that we as consumers go to will be all human and it will be run by creators and it will actually benefit them as the beneficiary of even like the ad network that supports it.
So you're saying not necessarily that the big platforms will come up with some new spirit or some cracking down.
No, ship sailed.
Okay, yeah, a ship has sailed, but that new platforms or smaller platforms will see the opportunity to say you will not encounter AI content on this platform, period, and that will be a selling point.
Oh, certainly. We've updated our terms of service where you cannot pretend to be a human form on our platform. So only real humans can show up in imagery on our platform.
Yeah, and of course we've already seen consumers have some affinity maybe for like Lil Miquela, of course, was the first totally computer-generated influencer. But it'll be curious to see over time whether consumers get attached to these folks or don't because the storytelling isn't there. They're not real people. They don't have emotions and lives and the kid running through the background. Yeah.
I think it's more about the monetization. I think that in the next chapter, it's aligned with the creator actually being able to directly monetize. Like today, you're talking about videos being replicated, but I go to certain platforms and you can search Amber Venz box nursery, and it's pictures of my nursery. I'm like, I paid an interior designer, I paid the person who painted it, I paid for the license for the photo. Someone stuck it on this platform, and now it's like, here's 10 cribs to get Amber's life, and I'm like, I make no money on that, and I'm pretty sure this is a copyright violation, but per your own terms of service, you're not responsible for that.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying is I think that the creator economy is professionalizing in the way that you've described. And I think that IP law will hopefully kind of catch up, but also creators where they put their content matters. And so I think that they'll take more control over that and do it in places that are more aligned to their long-term success and outcome. Because ultimately they're paying their mortgages, their teams, they're putting their kids through school based on this. So they don't have the tolerance to be able to handle that.
Yeah. Well, Amber, Joe, thank you so much for sharing your time and these insights with us today.
Thank you all.
I appreciate it. Please don't go anywhere. Stick around because there are more conversations about influence in the future coming up.